And I was going to chunk it. I thought, no, Joanna said, I'll finish up the master bedroom today. And I was going to just dump these socks in a garbage bag. So Joanna gets there about half an hour later or so. And she walks out and she goes, Bonnie, she said, look what I just found in the sock box. And I'm like, what is it? And it was a bank envelope that had $30,000.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
And I was going to throw it away.
Yeah. So, well, but I always tell people, if it's there, we're going to find it. Because you could have found it because you
probably would have seen it.
We touched everything.
Yeah, we touched everything.
But when I called the clients, I said, missing anything? Anything you want to be? I always ask people, is there anything we need to find?
Right.
We have found diamond jewelry, wedding rings. If we're looking for it, I'm going to find it.
Right.
Hi everyone, I'm Lexie Callies. Do you feel the squeeze of caring for an elderly loved one and school-aged children? Then welcome to the Sandwich Stories. Let's dig in.
Hi everybody. Hiya. It's Lexie Callies with Sandwich Stories, and I have Erryn and Bonnie, who both own Dusty Gold Estate Sales. And we're going to talk about estate sales today, why they are so great, what the difference is between an estate sale and a garage sale or a yard sale, or if you're from Wisconsin, which my husband told me, a rummage sale or a tag sale. I found out that's a name too. So we have all the names, but we're talking about estate sales today. So thanks, ladies. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate you for coming. I have actually personally used Dusty Gold Estate Sales. They were great. I know other people who have also, and I will just keep plugging them the whole episode just so y'all get it stuck in your head. So I do appreciate y'all coming to come talk to me. And really, I don't think people know. I am amazed at how many people don't know what an estate sale is. They don't know that they exist, what they are. How did you get into the business of doing them?
Well, I got into it. A friend of mine, she and I always had an annual garage sale at my house, and we would gather up. So we dumpster dive together for years.
Okay.
And so we'd gather up all this stuff, and then she's a decorator architect, and we just, would make it look like a designer warehouse in my driveway and garage.
She's known for her garage.
Yeah, we're known for the garage sale. And so most people would make $30 to $300. We'd make, $3,000 in a day.
Yeah.
And people say, how do you do that? Well, one day I was at my church, and a lady came up to me in my Sunday school group and said, do you know anybody that does estate sales? I'm like, let me get back to you on that.
Right.
So I called my friend Jennifer, and I said, hey, do you want to do this with me? And she said, oh, I think we can. So we did. And that's it was a very long time.
And how long ago was that? I know you've been in the business a long time.
20 plus years.
Okay.
4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And so we started her estate. We did that first estate sale. It took us 3 weeks to set up this little tiny duplex, home.
Right.
For her to live and learn a lot.
Yeah, you learn a lot.
Yeah, sure.
Everything was always a learning experience every week. Well, I was in the salon industry, so I had a salon and worked there every day.
Okay.
And did this at night and on weekends. So I didn't do a lot. Okay. I only did maybe 10 or 12 a year. Well,
still a lot.
Then
it still sounds like a lot
in her Erryn.
And then she became an empty nester with her boys leaving for college, and they were gone. And she goes, "Well, I'm going to help." And I'm like, "Okay." So she came in.
Yeah.
So when she came in, it went from 10 a year to I think that first year.
I was going to say
it was like 40.
We did 40,
37, 40.
Once I put us on social media,
right,
and we tweaked some other things. So we went from then I think we were doing one almost every single weekend. And now I think with Twitter, we've incorporated Twitter.
Okay.
And I always tell people too, one of the biggest questions are like, why should I hire an estate sale company?
Exactly.
And here's why.
Okay.
Anybody could kind of set up a garage sale.
Right.
And you look it up and you price it. We know what sells. We know how to look up what sells. But I think the two main reasons, one is the people. The longer the lines, the higher the prices go.
Yeah.
You cannot get that. And we have tracked our sales. You're only getting like 10% from signs. When we did a big sale that we did in Westlake, Lexie, who also works for us, she was tracking where people came from. And Twitter got not Twitter,
TikTok.
Oh,
Sorry, TikTok.
Oh, yes, I've seen your new TikTok.
Yes.
And it's a different Lexie. There's, when I go to her sale, it's a different Lexie. There isn't even a dog who hangs out with them named Lexie.
We have Lexies everywhere.
We're surrounded by. It wasn't me who was working for them, although I do have some. I think you've said this. Everybody's like, hey, let me come work for you.
Right.
You know,
That's everybody that
You
works
wouldn't
for us. We've done their
believe
sales.
the number
Yes.
of
Yeah.
clients that stand in line
right? Yeah,
on weekends that go, do you need some help? We put them to work.
yeah.
We had one couple that flew in on a vacation from a Caribbean vacation. We were doing a sale up in Whitesboro.
Mm-hmm.
They drove to Whitesboro as soon as they hit the airport and came and helped us.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you were
so back to why I think the two main reasons that
Mhm.
separate why you should hire an estate sales company is the advertising. It's their
Exactly.
draw. So when I talk to somebody and I'm like, when you're interviewing companies, one of the number one questions you should ask is, what does your following look like? So I always tell people, look at their following, look at their Facebook, their Instagram, and their TikTok.
Okay.
Instagram it's got to be over 1,000 people. 2+ is better. Facebook should be 5,000 plus because that's how you see their following. The other thing is our email list. So because mom has done it so long, we collect people's email addresses. So the more email addresses collect, it's that advertising platform. The more people you can reach, the longer the lines. The longer the lines, the more buying frenzy. So, and we basically are having to liquidate someone's entire life in tough. 2 to 3 days. And so you need thousands of people. So if you are just the family and you're putting up your sign at the corner of the street, it's not going to do it.
Yeah, because you're only going to hit those local looky-loos, or they know, oh, maybe that person passed away and they just want to see inside the house. But
even some of the companies that are just the typical company, everybody's right for everybody. But I think the reason that we stand out is all of those advertising platforms, utilizing TikTok, utilizing Instagram, and all those videos to showcase what it is and to just describe the item and to get people's interest up and not saying other companies will go and not that there's a company right for every person.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think where we come in, I was telling a realtor the other day, she was like, how do you work? Just tell me what your percentage. I'm like, you need to ask more questions than that. You tell me the end goal. I will tell you how to get there.
Right.
So it's not so much that we will actually do more than just sell your stuff. If you need me to move you to France, which we have done before, I will do that. If you need me to get you a container, I'll do that. If you need me to move a kid to college and to liquidate a storage and to sell a car and drive you to assisted living, I will do that.
Yes.
It's really sad. There's the other thing that I've learned in this business is that there's so many people that have no family. It's really hard. It's really hard. And I have looked at Mr. Dunbar, who one of my favorite clients, and his wife had dementia. And he looked at me at the end. He's like, Erryn, what would I have done without you? And it brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
And it's so rewarding. And I drove him to assisted living. And as I handed him his check, I'm like, if you need something, Mr. Dunbar, you call me.
Right.
Because he didn't have family.
Right.
And so I think
That's heartbreaking.
It is.
It is. And we have that a lot. We have a lot of people that are in situations. Every situation is different. We have what we call the 3 Ds. It's death, divorce, and downsizing. That is the reason you have an estate sale, not just because of a death in the family or a parent or loved one. It's death, divorce, and downsizing. And so we do all of that, and we cater to that. I think to all 3 of them.
I think so too, because when I hired y'all to do my mom's, I was thinking about it just recently because I knew we were doing this interview, and I said, oh my gosh, I wish I had done it the first round when she moved from her 4,500 square foot house to her 3,600 square foot house, because that was her downsize. But that was shortly after my dad had passed, and I was not going to refuse her anything. She did not want to get rid of a lot of big things, furniture. She got rid of like a lot of kitchen stuff because that was my dad's thing, and she was not going to be using it. She still had a ton. Y'all saw it.
Yeah.
And then her library, those kinds of things. I thought, man, I should have. But we had family that come in, and I just was like,
take whatever you want. And most people do that.
Just take it. I don't care. I don't want to see it. Or the Salvation Army was supposed to come for some things, and the guy showed up, and he literally said no and drove away. And so my mom was putting her house on the market the next day, and I had this garage of things that Salvation Army said they were going to take from us, and they didn't take it. So I had to pay $300 for J-Dog junk hauling to come and take it from I was like, they are coming tomorrow. We're putting the house on the market tomorrow. I need this out of the garage. I cannot sell this house with all this stuff in the garage. And so they came and took it away. And then, then my mom lived in her downsized house with all of her things, and she moved to assisted living. So we had to downsize again, and that was really hard. And do you find that a lot of times when it is downsizing to go to assisted living, do you find that it's really if they have family, they're the ones taking over and taking care of it, or do you find that it's the people who own it, they're saying we have to be done with this?
I think it's a combination. I do think one of the biggest misconceptions about estate sales is they think it's just furniture. Most people think, like another lady I was talking to last week, she goes, well, I donated all the clothes and I sent all the food to this place and I did that. I'm like, oh gosh. It really helps it. The more full the house, the better the sales. Right. As much as you can get, because estate sales have becoming quite the big business. I mean, there are hundreds every single weekend. And so when you're looking to, you've got to compete with all those. You want your pictures to be the best. Yes. So everybody goes, oh gosh, I want to go to that sale. Right. Because at the end of the day, it's about making the most for the family. Exactly. And I was there 2 weekends ago, 5:45 in the morning. I was going to be the first one in line. And you got it. And I got it. Luckily, I lived across the street. Not across the street of the house, but like down the way, maybe less than half a mile. It was first. I was first, but I was there. My husband had no clue I even got out of bed. He didn't. I was so quiet. Really? He didn't. I didn't want to wake him up. It was too early. But you got a good deal. But I did get a good deal because I saw a coffee table. Yeah. So I collect mid-century furniture. There's a coffee table and 2 side tables I saw in their pictures. And I had to have them end stop. I was done. I was like, this is what I need for my collection. And I was there and I got them. But you have to be early. When you see things, don't sleep on it. Don't think no one else wants that. Who else would want that? Tell you. Oh, there were people like 4 behind you that wanted them too. Yeah, I'm sure. That? And there was people that helped you get them. Yes, I did. Okay. There was the lady who was directly behind me. She knew some of the people because they're avid estate sale shoppers. They were resellers too. They were resellers too. But she was there for something else. This gentleman or the family that was doing this house had a lot of Native American pottery, and that was this lady's specialty. Right. Mid-century furniture was not her specialty. And so she kind of had known who they were or what they were looking for. And she was nice enough with her husband to actually walk slowly and take up space at a very small entry. So I could get and snag the tags. So I got them and I was done in about, you opened at 9:00. I was done at about 1:00. Yeah, I was done.
Last weekend, we had someone that got there at 1:45.
Oh, I'm sure. I was going to ask about this. So tell everybody about, because I want people to know the caliber of what estate sales can be. So they don't think that they're and they could be something small as my mom's, which is not, my mom had nice things, but it wasn't something that someone's like going to come across the country for. Right. Right. It's more local. That's one thing. But the estate sale last week,
we had a couple that came, from Austin. And when I got there, we walked down on the porch and I'm like, what time did y'all get here? Mm-hmm. And they said, we left Austin at 1:30 in the morning. Wow.
And the sale was so big. He was pretty well known. He had developed the Bowie House Hotel in Fort Worth.
Right.
So he was the big property.
Beautiful.
Yes, big property developer. Mm-hmm. And because he was in the developing business, he had 2 houses that he combined with the hallway. Mm-hmm. He had a very large, impressive glass collection. It was called the Prudence B. Stone Glass Collection, which he had collected. It had been in their family for 200 years. So 22 block cabinets of museum quality glass. Mm-hmm. We sent my son, who is now an appraiser, certified
Yes,
appraiser.
you said he just
Yeah.
got his
I'm so
license.
excited for
Is
him.
it a
Yeah.
certificate license?
Well, you're accepted into, so you go through a course, and it's the International Society of Appraisers. So he can sign appraisals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
that's a big deal. So he can testify in court. He can actually sign an
wow.
insurance appraisal.
Okay.
And that was a big deal to that family.
Right.
Because he had to identify what he was going to send to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Sandwich Glass Museum. So we had an entire cabinet of things that we sent to museums. We had museum quality items. We had Tiffany, Murano, and he had some of the oldest sandwich glass, which I got schooled in sandwich glass.
Okay.
And that's another while we're on it, another misconception is sometimes people think we know everything about everything. I know a little bit.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about a lot
of things. Yeah.
Right. I'm not, now I think that I am a sandwich glass expert because you just keep collecting information. But that cell was massive.
Right.
So it was over 9,000 square feet, and it was a partial demo. So we sold the chandelier, rare books, 5 Harleys, 2 cars.
Right.
So it's not only an estate sale it's not just the furniture, it's everything.
Right.
We have actually sold burial plots before, family pets. Yeah. Like
someone's live pet.
Live pets.
My God.
Well, because if you work for the courts and somebody just passes away, like, oh, by the way, there's a cat and a dog. It's like, okay, let's give it to the greatest home. So I know,
gosh,
but you got to think. People.
I never thought about that.
Right, it's the big picture. So and they're like, oh, when we have a burial plot, high value things are different. So that's another tip that I would tell people is the more you can include in the estate, usually the better it is.
Right.
If you're, you can negotiate a percentage, like, hey, you'll take this percentage of the furniture and personal property, but we've got cars and Rolexes and diamonds. It's best. A lot of people think that they have to just take it down to the pawn shop or the gold place.
Right.
It's best to leave it into the estate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better for the estate.
I'm sure. And so when you have something like that, so you, when you have an estate sale like the one you had last week with museum quality, was that family already reaching out to these museums? Did they know that, or did the museums kind of like, we know this collection exists and we're going after it? And then do they pay for it or did they donate?
So this was a unique situation. In his will, he wanted the Prudence B Stone glass collection to go to the Sandwich Glass Museum in Boston.
Okay.
So we handled that for him, for the executor. The odd situation was the Sandwich Glass Museum doesn't just accept things. You can put it in your will that you want everything to go to a museum. They can say no.
Of course.
So what they say is, you know what? We would like to see every single piece, and we want you to detail it, inventory it, appraise it, and then send it to us. And so what we did is I met with Austin, who can do that. And that's so many hours. You go back to the executor and like, okay, this is how long this will take. This is what we think in our opinion. So fortunately they listened to us. And what we ended up doing is we took the best pieces, museum quality pieces, singled them out, sent that to them. And believe it or not, the Sandwich Glass wasn't the easiest people to get in touch with. It took about 27 calls, 50 calls back.
Oh my goodness.
But then they call back and they're like, okay, we'll take this. But that's part of it. We just research and figure out where it needs to go. And then we sold some of it, sent some to museums, and just kind of had to do it piece by piece.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's amazing.
A lot.
Yeah, I'm sure. And then of course they do sell cars. They sold my car.
Oh, that's right.
We sold a car and it actually sold more than what they sold it for what the dealer would have sold it for. The dealer was going to give me a lower price. And so
cars, the other tip that I tell people is how we do them is I tell you to go to CarMax. Usually they will give you the most. Go to CarMax, tell us what they will give you. We put our fee on top, and that's the reserve. So if it doesn't make sense for the estate, we don't want it to cost the estate.
Of course.
So if we can make you more money, I'm all for it.
Right.
Yeah. But you've got that cushion. Like, if we don't get it, that's the same way with high value items. If I can't make it benefit the estate, then I simply hand it back to you and you can go get wholesale for any high value item.
Yeah. And so I thought that was really great. And then I think the person who bought my car, they shipped it then.
They lived in
Idaho or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, it's all done. Have fun.
Because we're a nationally recognized
Mhm.
company. We also had we get contacted by people
In the
all
state.
over the country. We had people about the glass
Mhm.
from Chicago
Yeah.
wanting pieces. We had one time a piano
Mhm.
that a father and son in Utah
Mhm.
wanted the piano
Mhm.
and were willing to drive cross country to
Right.
get it.
Mom's
If we told you-
mom's even gone across country to do sales.
Yeah.
Like they're
Wow.
like, and we'll
I've done-
travel. We have clients,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Will you go to Boston?" Sure will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an adventure.
Yeah. It's, I'm
Well, I've
excited.
seen the few. I've only seen the few that you've done, and I was like, oh, well, they went to Oklahoma. That was kind of nice.
We'll
Like,
travel. That's unlike
But
the-
yeah, I didn't know you could go as far as Boston. That's
Yes.
amazing to go to Boston. And I think that was the other thing. When I've noticed, I think a lot of people feel a lot of times estate sales are, like you said, they think someone has just died.
Yeah.
And I like to tell people that when we did my mom's, I said, oh, is there anything, we're doing an estate sale or this or that? And I said, you should come. I was like, but she hasn't died.
Right.
You know, and I would always put that caveat on things. I was like, no, my mom's still alive. It's not a dead person's thing. Because I know some people.
They do feel like that. And
Right.
we get asked that question a lot when people walk through the house and they'll say, oh, did they die? No one ever dies. I told them, no, they're, having fun somewhere. They are having
Yeah,
fun
they're
somewhere.
having fun somewhere, but it's not
But
in this house.
And so I never tell them because a lot of
Mhm.
people will, the human behavior that we see,
Mm-hmm.
that is another thing that is just so fun to
Fascinating.
watch and
I'm
very
sure.
fascinating.
I'm sure there are some sociology and psychology students that could do some really fun studies and papers by following y'all around. I'm sure they could get a thesis done real fast by working with these ladies.
But another thing that people, you can always ask the estate sale company, hey, I would like a nice thing said about if they had passed away. A
Mhm.
couple of weeks ago, we did kind of a well-known guide, and they wanted what was said at his funeral. So we did a nice, I think they put it on the easel, and they had a nice
they had
picture
it
and the
on the
write-up,
easel.
like,
that's so nice.
you are shopping the estate of,
Mhm.
this was who he was, this is
A lot
what
of
it's
people
about.
want to know.
I can understand that. Some people,
They
people love
were.
a story. They like
Right.
to know
Who it
who it was, and
right.
yeah.
Especially if there's some interesting artworks and interesting things, the world travelers,
Right.
they have all kinds of things. They go, who was? We did a diplomat in
Oh,
Grand
that's
Prairie
right.
one time,
Mm,
and some very interesting
Fascinating.
right.
things that we really had to research and look up. And
Mhm.
I'm not that big of a world traveler, but so it was really interesting to find some of this stuff.
Yeah, and then how do you? So, like you said, when someone comes to you,
Mhm.
what are your checklists? Like you're telling a family, like you were telling me, what do you tell everybody
So when I
before
first
they pick
meet-
you?
So
Yeah.
when, let's say somebody just called, like
Yeah.
last week, and you
Yeah.
go out to meet with them, and I always, when I walk in, it's like, okay, here's why I'm here.
Mhm.
I'm here to make sure there isn't enough for an estate sale.
Yeah.
A lot of times people don't realize so you want to know minimum. Our minimum is, sometimes it's 8,000, 10,000, or 15,000.
Mhm.
It depends. And then I use my hands. I'm like, sales, labor, they got to balance.
Mhm.
So if you have this much sale, but this much labor, we have to adjust.
Yeah.
So we're here to look at what you're selling, how much labor is involved, and I'm interviewing you as much as you're interviewing me.
Mhm.
You're looking for that connection.
Right.
And so and I'm also looking for the boxes to check.
Mhm.
Is there furniture? Check. Is there artwork? Check. Is there clothes, smalls,
Mhm.
kitchen appliances, garage items? The more boxes we can check, the bigger the sale is. The bigger the sale is, the more people that will look at it,
Right.
and the more people that will come, because
Right.
we're looking for those long lines. Longer lines, the higher the number.
Right.
And so misconceptions. Oh, you want me to get rid of all the clothes? No, we want everything.
We want it all.
And then I'm asking questions to make sure. Sometimes I want to make sure that the family gets along. There's a lot of times that I'm sitting there and there's 4 siblings that I'm like, ooh, I can't walk into that mess. And so I'm like, are y'all getting along? Is there going to be, once I come in here, a lot of times I play counselor. And and I don't mind it with the family, because you get very heavily invested with people. I mean, they'll call me at all hours crying, and you handhold them through the process. But you're looking to make sure everybody gets along.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really want to be an attorney.
No, I don't think so. Have you had families that you've had to say, this is not this dynamic is not for us.
Yeah,
And
that you
maybe,
have an executor
Mhm.
and then other siblings that come in and they're
Mhm.
fighting. They'll break into the house. They do lots of things. Yeah, they steal stuff.
and then
Yeah.
even with divorce, do you have issues? Have you
Lots.
ever had issues with that where they're like, we have to split this up? And
We've actually done several high-profile divorces.
Yeah.
I think the one in Pilot Point, he was a well-known executive, and
Mhm.
everything had to go. But they couldn't be a certain. I think they had to be 100 feet apart from each other,
oh my
so they
gosh.
couldn't
Yes.
come at the same time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was.
I think mom counseled the wife, I counseled the husband.
What a dynamic.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
really. So doing it that way,
It worked.
It worked because it let us
We were a good
figure out
dynamic.
what we had to do
Right.
to, because they refused to let each other sell anything or keep anything. It all had to go.
All had to go.
All had to be sold.
Mm.
So, turning loose of this or that was hard for both of them.
Right.
And so,
You took her for drinks.
I took her for drinks and coffee and
My husband took
breakfast.
the husband to like talk about guns. It's like you have to. I think you do have to look at the dynamic and figure out how to work with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough. It's
Yeah,
a tough.
Yeah, I'm
it's
sure
supposed to be a hard.
I'm
process.
sure it has to be really hard. I mean,
Some people it's harder.
Oh.
on, and so they have. I think
Yeah.
I've actually looked at somebody before and said, "I don't think you're ready for me. I don't
Mhm.
think now is the right
Mhm.
time for you. I think you need to come to the house, walk around in it,
Mhm.
have coffee here in the mornings."
Mhm.
It's a process to let go.
Right, yeah.
The other thing I usually tell people is we're not selling the item. We're not selling your memory. We're selling the item. We had a lady and she had a baby grand piano and she's like, "Erryn, I really want 10,000. I'm like, "I'm not going to get that.
No.
I'm not going to get
Yeah.
that. I'm going to get 5."
Mhm.
And then once I talked to her and figured out why she wanted to keep it, it was because of the emotional attachment.
Mhm.
She had places for it, but she didn't play. She just remembered her mother there.
Ah.
And so
Yeah.
what I told her, I said, "Here's what we need to do.
Mhm.
You need to hire a professional photographer, have a beautiful picture of it done, have yourself sitting at it,
Mhm.
take it, hang it on the wall.
Mhm.
So you're keeping the memory, you're looking at it every day, and let's sell the item."
Yeah.
So we're selling the item, you're keeping the memory.
I think that's a really great tip for everybody
Right.
that you're just selling.
And
The
we can
actual-
also make lookbooks. All those pictures
Yeah.
we take and
Mhm.
it goes on to .net, we can make a lookbook for you.
Mhm.
And so somebody that's selling their entire life and they're going from 5,000 square feet down to assisted living,
Mhm.
when you go take your lookbook and you're still looking at all your beautiful things and you have the memories,
Yeah.
you just don't have
The thing
the thing
that
weighing
is-
you down.
Yeah,
It weighs you down.
It does weigh you down, and I think it is hard though because I mean, even for me, when I was going through selling my mom's home and all her things, I'm an only child. For those of you who don't know, and it was 40 years at the time, 40 years of my life also
Right.
that I was then pushing. And I still get emotional. I'm still emotional about this stuff because, and there's something, there was a sweater and it was so funny because it's become very popular again. It was the Diana black sheep sweater.
Yes.
And I swear I pulled it out and I was like, I'm going to take this home and I'm going to wear it. I'm not going to sell it. Guess what? It got stuck in the estate sale and I know y'all sold it. And so there are times, and it was not y'all's fault. It was my fault. I should have just picked it up and taken it home, and I did not. And so there are some times where I look back and I'm like, because my mom bought that sweater in London from the same company that made that Diana got hers from in the 80s. She had an original, and I was like, I know I have this sweater. I even tried it on and it fit. Where is the sweater? I was like, oh, it's in the estate sale. Oh, I know someone else is enjoying it. And I'm glad they're enjoying it. But it's little things like that you think, and I probably remember my mom only wearing it a few times. She didn't wear it a lot. But it's those little things that you think about. And I was like, I should have kept that. But then also there are things that, for my mom, to get her to agree to an estate sale because it was hard for her. It was very hard for her. I did not refuse her anything. If she said she had to have it, I was going to put it in a box. And I was like, okay, fine. So I did that with a few things. And do you know?
You still have them?
No.
Okay. Are they?
I got like her books. Literally, we would you never saw her house she had moved from. And she literally had a library made with floor to ceiling with the library ladder And we had gone through all of those books. And so some of them at the time, because I was not thinking I was going to need an estate sale back then. And so I packed things up and took them to Half Price Books, but she still literally had 20 boxes of books that she refused to get rid of. And I said, okay, fine, I'm going to take them. We're going to put them. And they were at the house that of the estate sale in one of the other rooms that was locked away. And that's the other thing. If you're not ready to move things away, you can put them in a room and they can lock the door and that room is closed off. You cannot go in that room. So I had things in a room like that. And then we sold her house. We did all the things. And then I said, Mom, I need you to come over and look through these books again because I need to know what we're going to do with them. She kept 5. Oh. We went through them a second time and she kept 5. And I was
That's
like,
actually another good tip to keep going through.
Yes, I think that was the other thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I could have sold all. I was like,
what'd you do with them?
I took them to Half Price Books because what else was I going to do with them? I just packed them all up and off they went. And, same with my dad's CDs, the records I kept because that was my dad, and CDs and things like that. My mom's like, no, you can't get rid of them. I was like, oh my gosh. And so I took certain things yet again back to Half Price Books. And the guy looked at me and goes, your dad had a great collection. I'm like, yeah, I know. I said, you haven't even seen the records. He said, when you're ready to sell those, I was like, oh, no, those are staying at my house. They're in alphabetical order because I had to put them in alphabetical order when I was sick with mono one time. And they've stayed in alphabetical order ever since.
Well, at least you didn't put it into storage.
Yeah.
And I
know
think
that
that's
all
one
came
of
to
the
my house.
biggest mistakes people make is, oh, we're going to put this in storage. Once it goes into storage, it usually never comes out.
Yeah,
and it's expensive to deal with storage units because we don't have anywhere to put it. We have to wait for a house. You can't sell from a storage unit.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Especially a controlled temp and all of that. They won't let you have estate sales or sales out of them.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. No,
people don't think about those types of things. And so if they're not ready to deal with it, usually I'll tell them, in my opinion, take some more time. Take some more time.
Take the time.
And then walk through it again. Put a piece of paper on or Post-it notes, what you want to keep. And usually if you come back in a second time, you'll go, oh, and then you can slowly start taking off some of those Post-it notes and get down to what you really need to keep.
Yeah. And we had some, I was able to do that a couple times with my mom. I was like, Mom, really? I would give her, I was like, are you sure? Because I would tell her, I was like, I don't want it. So if you say yes, and it comes to my house, and you say, I was like, I'm just going to get rid of it anyway. I don't want this. Nothing.
Most kids don't. I don't think.
Well, that's what you have to remember. Most of our kids don't want anything we have.
Right.
And so, you're looking at an only child if you couldn't tell. But she came to me a long time ago. And when she first started helping me and said, Mom, please don't make me do this. I don't want to do this.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. So like right now I'm in storage because the one thing that my mom was never going to sell, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it, is her crystal and her china, her fine china. And she has a beautiful set of Wedgwood crystal. So Wedgwood doesn't make crystal anymore, but they used to make crystal. Right. And so she has a beautiful collection with pieces that people don't even have. They're like, she has pictures, things like that even the people at the Ivy House in Dallas were like, where'd you get that? They're like, amazing. She was like, well, I bought it when you had 2 of them and I snatched them up 25 years ago. So, and I have it all stored in beautiful crystal boxes, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them.
Do you use it?
Not always. Actually, we used it for my son's baptism, and people were shocked that my mom pulled the crystal out because she was like, what if it breaks? She goes, that's why I buy 15. And not just 12. And so she was like, if one breaks, that's how things go, but I have backups. And then, so we did use it for that. And same with the fine china. She has Wedgwood wild strawberry. And she has, and it's a beautiful pattern. And she has, you name it, we've got it.
Okay.
And so one time I might just have to say, could you help me consign this?
And we do that too.
And that's the other
Bring
thing. So
consignment.
I was going to bring that up. If you don't have just a whole estate, like you don't have you had people come to you and say, I kind of have just this fine china. I have this beautiful collection of crystal. And I understand a lot of people aren't wanting it because we don't live that lifestyle anymore. But I do find that some people are going back to live some of those lifestyles that have finer.
Notice that.
I've noticed it a lot because that's kind of my job now at these estate sales, to show people how they can repurpose a piece of furniture. You know, we live in a throwaway generation where nobody eats off of china. Nobody, I mean, we eat mostly off of paper plates anyway, because we're a large family. When we have get-togethers and everything, nobody even uses it.
Right.
So they go to IKEA and buy a piece of furniture that, you know, the doors break, or the doors, you open it and it
we can
falls
sell
off.
IKEA better than we can solid wood.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Which is so sad.
So I try to show people how they can repurpose an old 1940s dresser into a beautiful TV cabinet.
Right.
And it'll outlast them.
Yeah.
You know, especially the younger generation.
Yeah, you do a good job of
Yeah.
that, telling people what to do. And
You know,
I think
they can make out.
so. With the consignment,
But with
you
the
have a
consignment,
one-off.
Yeah, we will have people go, yeah, sure, bring it over if we have the space in the
You have the
room.
space for it.
If we have the space for it, you know, you need to. You'll probably have to bring it over and you know,
have y'all look it over,
set it up. But we've done that a lot of times.
They were very nice to me when I moved into my new house. I've redone my bathroom a little bit, not much, but I had a cast iron clawfoot tub that was so heavy, and I tried to sell it online by myself. I had a lady who came to me, same lady, a few times, and she just would not pull the trigger. And I had it priced. Y'all did sell it for me.
Yeah.
y'all were so kind and did sell it. But I had it priced probably for because I had everything, even the extra pieces that you have to buy, like the some of the hardware you have to buy extra for the tub to work. And I just threw it all in the price, and I tried to sell it online, and I had someone come to me a few times, and then she just would not pull the trigger, and I had it priced for like $800, which I was like, this is not fiberglass. It's a good deal for a cast iron tub. The hardware alone would have cost someone $150 just to get, not even the faucet portion, just the part that connects the tub to the faucet or to the drain. And so, y'all were super nice because I knew you were doing one coming up that was a demo. And I was like, oh, could I bring this? Could I? No, you said, I'm going to take pictures of it. So she let me take pictures of it, and you put it on your Instagram.
And it probably sold.
And it sold for $600, and I was thrilled. And I was like, yes. And the gentleman and his son came, and I had already had my plumber take it out of the bathroom. It had been sitting in my living room.
Oh,
literally for like months. Because I thought, this lady's going to come by. I had it right at the front door, like ready to go. Like, come take it. So in my formal living room is a clawfoot tub. But this gentleman came and he said, I saw that and I just saw the hardware. And he said, $600. Yeah, done. He and his son came, took it out, did not need my help. I said, I'll help. I can move. He goes, no. Here's your $600. And they were very kind to let me do that. And I was thrilled that you let me just do the one-off. And I was like, maybe just because.
But also, I think we kind of bend over backwards for one client.
And you're very kind in that way. Because I know that was something you could say, no, whatever. Find your own. Yeah. You know, we're done with you. We've, we've done your sale. Tough cookies.
They fall in love with Erryn. I mean, you know why, but they fall in love with her, and they all want to be her best friend, and So
you do have a very magnetic personality, but she is a whirling dervish in an estate sale. Good luck pinning her down for anything.
Oh, that's true.
And she just flitters around, and she's all over the place. And she's like a hummingbird.
Yeah.
She just when you think you've got her, she go
start to manage me into a room with jewelry. I always, because I can sit at night watching TV and undo jewelry.
And you're not ADD.
Yeah.
I have to be ADHD.
That's okay. This is the right. So it's good for you because something is new all the time.
It is. We actually have a lady, and she was like, we're in this one house in Colleyville, and it's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot. Coming up the first, very great word, Mom.
Yes.
But the first weekend of April, and I mean it's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It's some of these.
She was a collector.
Yeah.
She's an entertainer.
In a nice,
entertainer.
in
Yeah.
a
We have
nice,
a big home.
She's an entertainer.
Yeah.
She entertained a
And
lot.
they have, I think, if you name it, she has it.
Mhm.
Every single color of dish, every kind of dish. I
Yes.
think there's several.
A lot of
other
garden
pieces.
party. If you're having a gardening party
You should come.
this spring,
Oh,
You
need to
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, but so Donna's been staging it, and she's like, I gotta get out of this house.
Yeah.
Just because, and it's so nice. I think that's one of the such good perks about our job is we see something different all the time
Mhm.
and all the time.
What is the oddest thing you've ever seen?
things we find. I had a sale here in Colleyville, maybe 3 years ago.
Mhm.
And it's a lull in the afternoon on
Mhm.
Sunday afternoon, and I'm sitting on the sofa, and everybody's kind of, we're just relaxing. And I love recipes, so I'm looking at this, and $100 bill falls out of this, and so we start picking up, and shaking the magazines, and we have money everywhere.
Oh,
We
my
find
goodness.
money a lot.
Do you?
We
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
money in
Mm.
well, I'm sure we
Tell us
missed
about
some.
the biggest one.
Yeah. What is?
2 doctors in Frisco. Joanna.
Oh, we were doing this house, and I walked in early. I'm an early riser,
Mhm.
and so I got to the house early, and I'm thinking I was in the master bedroom, and there was a box of like socks and other
Mhm.
things, personal things that we don't sell. And I was going to chuck it. I thought, no, Joanna said I'll finish up the master bedroom
Mhm.
today, and I was going to just dump
Right.
these socks
Mhm.
in a garbage
Yeah.
bag. So Joanna gets there about half an hour later or so, and she walks out and she goes, Bonnie, she said, look what I just found in the sock box. And I'm like, what is it?
Mhm.
And it was a bank envelope that had
$30,000.
$30,000.
Oh my goodness. Oh
But
my
when
goodness.
And I was
saw
going
it,
to throw it away.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Well, but I always tell people if it's there, we're gonna find it because you
we
you
do.
would have found it because
I
you
probably
would have
seen
seen it.
Right.
We touched everything.
Yeah, we
Right.
touched
But
everything.
when I called the clients, I said, missing anything? Anything you want to be? I always ask
Mhm.
people, is there anything we need to find?
Right.
We have found diamond jewelry, wedding rings. If
Mhm.
we're looking for it, I'm gonna find it.
We're
Right.
gonna find it.
Yeah.
And
If
she's
you
like,
tell us it's in the house.
No, I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure?
No cash.
I was like, and that's when I said, we found a large sum of cash. I'll be right there.
Well, she said,
Mhm.
"Oh, yeah, I'll come get it." Very nonchalant,
Nonchalant,
very
yeah.
And then when she picked it up, she goes,
Don't tell my husband.
It
It was in his box.
Oh, good. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
we found gold.
We have found gold and
toolboxes.
locked briefcases with
That we
it's
can't
heavy
open.
that we can't
Mhm.
open.
Mine's the Pentagon safe. We did a sale in Arlington that had a Pentagon safe that we couldn't get in.
Song of the week. We're gonna do
I
song of the
did
week.
Walking on Sunshine.
Why did you pick Walking on
Okay.
Sunshine?
Because that's how I feel every single day.
Right.
I just feel like I'm walking on sunshine. I dance through days.
Great.
Yep. And so that's my theme song.
We
all
need
the
to
time.
bottle her.
Yeah.
You know how they say you should bottle 3-year-old
Yeah,
energy? We need
exactly.
to bottle.
Yeah.
We need to figure out how to
Oh,
bottle.
yeah. I've got a lot of it.
Thank you so much for listening to Sandwich Stories. I really hope you learned some new things and enjoyed it. If you did, tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your sister, tell your dad, tell everybody you know to also listen. Maybe they'll learn some new things, how to help each other out, and find us at Sandwich Stories Podcast. Thanks so much.